Hey fellow lifelong learners, so welcome to the February Q&A for BookMattic. I want to do one of these every single month, post it on IGTV and YouTube, and of course share it to the other social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter. So this month's Q&A has 11 people who asked 15 questions. So I'm excited to answer all of those questions today. They're all very interesting questions. I've already recorded them and wrote them down in my phone, so you might see me picking up my phone here once in a while to read through those questions. But all the answers are on the spot, fairly spontaneous. Of course, I looked at the questions beforehand, but yes, they're all honest and truthful answers. So I'm excited to share these with you today, and I hope you learn a lot from them. I've actually put a list of the questions and tagged all the people who asked these questions in the description. So if you want to check out those people's profiles, go ahead. And also, if you want to skip forward to any of the questions, the answers to the questions, you've got the list in the description. So I actually like the way that this is structured. So, because I know that not every single question is going to be of interest to every single one of you. So it's a great way. Just check out the description and then you can slide back and forth and hear which answers you want to hear, or you can listen to the whole thing. I would be pleased if you do that. So let's get into it. No more delay. All right, so now it is time for the first question, and this is from Bookworm, and she has actually 3 questions here. So the first question is, what was the longest book that you've ever read, and how long did it take you to read it? Now, I have a couple parts to this question, and I gotta pull up my Goodreads app here. You probably can't see it, it's too bright, but anyway, now, I've read, the longest book that I ever read was actually a fiction book. So I'll tell you the longest fiction book that I've read and the longest non-fiction book that I've ever read. So the longest fiction one was called The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss, and it was 1,107 pages long, and it took me from the end of December 2017, I believe it was, until the beginning of June 2018. So it took me 6 months to read that one. And then the non-fiction book that I read here was Why Nations Fail. This is probably the longest one here. Probably can't see it. It was 544 pages, and I started that in October of last year, 2019, and finished it in December. So just like 2 months to read that, which is quite long, but it's a very thick book and very detailed and very deep, I would have to say. So that answers the first question. All right, and the second question is, what format do you prefer? And what is your favorite genre? So format, I actually prefer paperback. I really do prefer paperback. Why? Because it's easy to carry around. I mean, of course, electronic copy is like the easiest because you can have it on your phone or your Kindle, and that's really easy to carry around. But I really do prefer that physical book, and I prefer paperback because of its flexibility. So I can put it in my bag and I can have like 3 or 4 books in there and carry it with me. Whereas a hardcover, that's a bit harder to put in a bag and cram in there. It's not going to be flexible. And of course, I like to try and keep my books in good condition. So I try not to bend them too much, but paperbacks are definitely a lot more flexible. And my favorite genre, well, cannot really pick necessarily one, but I would say way up there at the top is philosophy and kind of a psychology. So I'm really interested in how our brains work. And philosophy has a lot of answers to those questions. And I believe it's a topic that can continue to go on for a lifetime. We will never really figure out exactly what's going on in our mind. Maybe we will in the future, but maybe not in my lifetime. So philosophy and psychology are great, very interesting topics for me, genres for me. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. And the last question from Bookworm is, when choosing a book, what attracts you to the book? Is it the author, the look at the cover, or the topic, or combination of all those things? So in my personal opinion, well, the very first thing that might attract me to the book is actually the cover. And I know you shouldn't necessarily base a book off its cover. I usually pick up the book no matter what it is, but I mean, if it's got an attractive cover, if I'm at the bookstore and I'm browsing the books and something catches my eye, I mean, that's why they have cover art, right? To catch your eye. If it's a really blank book, sometimes you just kind of pass over it, and it's a shame because some of the best books are like the most plain looking books. I don't know, that's just an assumption, but yeah, so the first thing that really catches my eye is the cover, of course, and also reading the back of the blurb, and then doing a lot of research about reading reviews from credible people. You can kind of tell whether the person is credible just by looking at the language that they use. So I really pay attention to the small details whenever I read reviews on Goodreads, and also just looking through like the Instagram feeds. There's a bunch of nonfiction bookstagrams out there that post a lot of stuff about books there, and so you can easily get a lot of information just by getting recommendations from other people. And of course, lastly, there's also the author too. Like I like to research a bit about the author, and where, like, if I don't know who it is, I'll research the author and I'll see what sort of work that author has done, and are they credible? Do they know what they're talking about? Yeah, so I think it's really important to research a bit about the book before actually reading it. And I love flipping through the pages, like looking at the table of contents. And usually if the table of contents is so simple, I'm like, how the heck am I supposed to know whether the content in this book is meant for me if the table of contents doesn't really tell me much? Then I'll have to go through each chapter heading, if it has one, and gauge whether the book is worth reading or not. You can also take a look at the index and like all the sources that the author has provided for you, and you can see all the different references, and if the references are maybe other books that you've read before, you know, okay, this author has done their research about the topic, and it's really thorough. If it's not so thorough, then is it just coming from the author's mind, or is there actual credible research behind what they are writing about? So yeah, I hope that answers your question and give you as much detail there as possible in the shortest amount of time. So now let's move on to the next question. So here's question number 4 from Varun Pandey 97. How to finance buying my books? Because, well, I don't have much money. Well, if you read like The Richest Man in Babylon or some finance books, a lot of them suggest setting aside 10% of what you make every single month. Set aside that money, and when you do have enough, you can invest in buying a book. You can invest in building your own business. So I do suggest setting aside at least 10% of your salary. That way you can spend it on things that you want to, or invest it, or anything that you want to, but just do it wisely. And books are always a wise choice. Now here's the fifth question, and I'm really excited to answer this one. This is from Masterful Marketing, and the reason why I'm excited is because, well, it hits on pain points for you guys, for me as well. The question is, how does your product or service help people solve their pain points? Now, years ago when I started BookMattic on Instagram and my website, I was just like, how can I make this into something very useful for people? And when I first started out, it was just for me. I just wanted to review books and share it with people, and people loved it. And people still do love it when I post book reviews. But I was trying to figure out, how can I go beyond this? How can I help people further? And I saw a gap. I saw a gap in the market, basically, where, well, people are reading all these self-development books, non-fiction books, and still not progressing forward. So I thought, well, why don't I make a product that can help people to read these books, take the knowledge, put it into a plan, and learn how to take action on those takeaways in the nonfiction books. So it's like, I believe I've hit it on the spot here to basically help you learn from the books, actually apply the books in your life, and help you to reach your goal, basically. So that is basically what my service does. And I will be releasing an online course in April with all these strategies that I've learned over the past 5 years of reading nonfiction books. I've put it into a nice 6-module course, and I believe it will definitely help you to get the most out of your books that you're reading. This is question 6 from Angortesco. And it is, how do I do my journaling? She's seen other people do like bullet journal and things like that. And well, I don't do a bullet journal. Basically, for a while, I was using a notebook, and every day or every time that I would journal, it wouldn't necessarily be every day, I would go into my notebook and open up to the next blank page, put the date, and then just set a timer, write for at least 10 minutes, and just start writing. Just let it flow. Get anything out of my mind. It could be about my family, it could be about my job, it could be about reading, it could be about, starting my business, it could be about anything on my mind at that moment, and just writing any thoughts, any feelings. And it's just a way for me to kind of like a meditation. I don't actually sit there and meditate, which I should do more often, but journaling is like a meditation. So then at a later date, I can go back to my journal, take a look at what I had written like a year ago, and be like, wow, I have come so far. Also, it's a great way to like brainstorm, You all of a sudden, when you're writing, you have some sort of idea and you just write it down on paper. For me, it's a lot easier to get my thoughts out on paper than it is to get my thoughts out by speaking. So I know everyone is going to be different, but yeah, you should definitely try journaling if you haven't. Whether you're good at speaking, whether you're good at writing or not, it's a really good therapy. It's a really good meditation. So yeah, definitely check it out, guys. Definitely. So question number 7 and 8 is from Amit Karliker, and he's actually one of the person that won Atomic Habits, one of my giveaways last year. So he's got 2 questions here. The first one is, how do you post daily about books? Is it always reviews or something else? So how do I post daily about books? Well, it has taken a long time to actually build up this habit. And when I first started, a few years ago, it would only be like once a month that I post. But now I try to post like at least every other day, and a story for sure I have up. To make it easy, you have to try to post a variety of different things, whether it's videos, quotes, book covers, the back of the book, whatever it may be, a summary, a review, your thoughts. Any of those types of things is good. Also, reading tips, mindset, productivity, anything like that is gonna be helpful for your audience. So the second part of the question is, do I always post book reviews or other types of things? And I personally like to post about other types of things because, well, book reviews is about the book itself. And it's okay. I do like to express my thoughts about the books themselves, but I also like to express my own opinions, like opinions about the books, my reflections. I really prefer posting about strategies for reading, because that is exactly what I'm trying to aim for, to help you out. That is exactly what my brand is to help you get the most out of reading, help you apply what you read and get it out there so that you can improve your life and the lives of people around you. That is what BookMattic is about. That's Matt Hudson's brand, right? So it's not just about book reviews, it's also about making the most out of what you read. And I love this other question from Amit is, how do you manage your time between your job and this page? Now, I've got a job, I got a day job. I'm an English teacher at a primary school. I teach primary 6 English, and that's from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So it's 8 hours, Monday to Friday. So that leaves me the time from when I get home until the time that I go to sleep. And I've also got a family and a daughter. So I am a freaking great example of you can do it. You cannot make excuses about, I don't have time. Don't say that. Do not say that. Now, I put in about 2 hours after work every day on BookMattic, maybe a little bit more. Now that includes my website, blog, working on my project, like the online course, right? So I spend 2 hours, maybe 3 per day on that. And that's all I have time for that. Plus I spend about an hour or 2 reading every day. That's spread out 15 minutes here, 30 minutes here, an hour here. So really I block my time as best as I possibly can. That way I can at least spend like 3 hours with my family, whether it's eating dinner, playing around with my toddler, right? So I block my time and I do the best that I possibly can. And yeah, maybe my progress is slower than others with building my business and building this page, but I do the best that I can with the amount of time that I have in the 24-hour day. I would like to get 8 hours of sleep, but sometimes I get like 7 or 6. And well, that's not necessarily the best thing for my health. Better to get 7 or 8 hours of sleep. So yeah, it's really about prioritizing and blocking times out. That way you can have enough time to work on the things that you want to work on, like BookMattic, right? You work on your purpose, work on your passion, work on the things that are good, that you are good at, work on the things that will make you some money in the future and will help other people out. Split it up, block it up, and you can do it. Don't make excuses, okay? And this question is from Andi Topati. It is, what are some good books about patience and not giving up on life? Now, there are several books out there about patience, not giving up. I would say The 4 Agreements really helped me out so much with like believing in myself and not worrying about what other people think, and just like doing my best at everything that I do. I mean, the 4 Agreements are if you follow each of those, you will be living a really awesome life, I think. Also, the power of now is like living one, being in the present moment. And of course, you need to work in some like productivity. Like, of course, I always have to suggest atomic habits. Like, building up those strong habits are going to make you happier, more productive. You will not give up if you know you have a strong habit at whatever you're doing, whether it's reading or writing or running. Anything in your life is a habit. So yeah, those 3 books, The 4 Agreements, The Power of Now, and Atomic Habits are very powerful, and they're going to help you not give up and keep on going and live the best life that you can possibly live. This question is from Mivan M24, and it is how to join this community. Now, when you ask that, I'm not exactly sure what you mean, so I'll just say what I think you mean. How to join this community, BookMattic, well, it's on Instagram, also on my website, but yeah, the main place that I personally interact is on Instagram, and yeah, I mean, I try my best to interact with as many people as possible, and you can interact with me. But also, if you're living in Surabaya, I have a nonfiction book club. I see that you, the one that asked this question, you are from Indonesia. So if you're living in Surabaya or the surrounding area, you can join the Book Brewers Nonfiction Book Club. We read 1 book per month. We have 2 meetings per month. We discuss that book during 1 meeting. We have lots of questions and discussion. It's very personalized and try to help you out to get the most out of that book and be able to hear other people's opinions about it. The other meeting is more of a casual meeting where we just kind of talk and get to know each other. And then there's also the online course, which I'll be releasing in April. It's not really a community, but it will help you to get the most out of your books. And I am definitely planning on building that out and possibly adding a community aspect to it. But first, got to get it launched and see how that works out for everyone. So yeah, those are my answers to your question. This question is from Shakid Mohammed, and the question is, why do we eventually lose interest in something that we initially had great interest in or motivation? Now, this is a tough question, but in my personal opinion, it is all about the priorities and the habits that you have. Now, if you lose interest in something, maybe that's just because you're really not interested in it. Like, now, for me, like if I take reading, for example, I believe I will never lose interest in this because reading is my life. Outside of the day job that I have and outside of the family that I have, reading is my life. So you have to make whatever you're interested in, you have to make it part of your life every single day, and you cannot stagnate, right? So I think a lot of the time you get bored of something because maybe you stagnate, maybe you stop experimenting, right? So I believe one of the keys is experimenting, keeping up the momentum and the habit, and prioritizing your interest. If you really, really, really are interested in it, then you will put a lot of effort into it. You will make it part of your life. Just like I have made reading part of my life, and I will never let it get old because I always experiment with it, right? So just try these things out and see how it works out for you. You know, pick something that's going to interest you and stick with it. Don't give up on it so easily. So this question is from Mike OS8, and the question is, what book would you suggest to become better at writing? Now I have 4 suggestions for you. 2 of the books I've actually read personally, and 2 of them I haven't, but I've heard great things about it. So the 2 ones that I really recommend are On Writing Well by Zen Sir, and that one is a classic. It's got a bunch of writing tips about, basically how to write a good nonfiction text. And goes into depth, and it's very detailed. The other one is how to write short, and this one is by Roy Peter Clark. And this one I really love because, well, despite the title saying how to write short, it actually helps you to write very long too. Because when we write something, non-fiction text or even a fiction, I guess, we have to be very concise with what we're writing. We have to be very specific with what we're writing. So how to write short gives you like tons of tips about how to be very clear with your writing. That one I actually liked a lot better than On Writing Well. So definitely check those out. And the other two books, one of them I'm reading now, it's called The Influential Author. And this one is great so far. I just started it like the other day. And basically it's about self-publishing. And the guy is just completely honest. And I've also heard this one recommended before by some of my other fellow lifelong learner Bookstagram owners out there. And so far it's great, and I'm definitely going to share more about that as I read further into it. And the last one here is The Art of Writing by Peter Young, I believe, and he's sending me a copy of that book. So I just saw a recommendation from Alex and Books, and was doing a giveaway for that book. So I'm excited to get into that, and it's a really short book, like 100 pages. So if you have any other questions about writing, just DM me or read those books that I suggested. All right, question number 13. This is from Abdul Khalik Qureshi. And the question is, what are the best books to eliminate the fear of public speaking? So this is a great topic. I really loved Talk Like TED by Carmine Gallo. Also The Storyteller's Secret by Carmine Gallo. And another one by Chris Anderson, the founder of TED Talks. It's called TED Talks, the official public speaking guide to, TED Guide to Public Speaking. Yeah, so all three of those ones are great, and they give you lots of great public speaking tips, and there are some sections about overcoming fear. So yeah, but my personal recommendation would be just to actually get out there and do it. That is the best teacher. Of course, first read about it so you can study about all the different tips from the professionals out there. Then, go to small events, maybe even communities. Just talking in front of people is going to get you used to public speaking. So yeah. And then also maybe join a Toastmasters, and that one will get you really used to getting out there and speaking in front of a smaller audience of like 15 people, 20 people, depending on the size of the meeting. And yeah, one of the best teachers is actually getting out there and doing it. But of course, prepare yourself by reading about it first. That's always the first step. Prepare by reading. Okay, so check out those books, yeah? All right, question number 14 from Luminous Red Light. What 3 items would you take with you on a deserted island? Supposing that I'm stuck there, if I could, I would take a whole library. Maybe that's cheating because that's thousands, hundreds of books or whatever. Take a whole library with me. And then maybe like a machete or some sort of knife that I can use to like make a shelter or something. And maybe a water purifier that I can use for a very long time. That's a tough question. I never really thought about it because I don't think it's really going to happen, but it's good to think about some sort of like be prepared for situations that you wouldn't normally experience, because you never know when you're gonna experience something like that. So yeah, that's the best answer I can give. the knife would come in handy, I think, for building something, and the books would definitely keep me occupied and also provide knowledge for me. And I guess it depends on what the books are, right? But if I've got hundreds or thousands of books, definitely going to keep me active. And yeah, the water purifier, because water is like one of the most important things we need, right? So I don't know if the water is going to be pure there. So if I use this water purifier, for sure I'm going to be safe. So yeah, that's my answer. And save the best question for last here. This is Kyle Letkeman, and he asks, if you couldn't read or listen to another book in your life, what would be your next side hustle? This is such a tough question. I mean, I mean, you got me here. No, but I thought of one though. I guess I would probably be a coder, because I know this is a very high demand skill right now. And that, I guess that's something that I could learn right now just by doing, but I cannot read a book about it though. I cannot listen to a book about it. I guess I would have to learn by experimentation or by other people training me or something. But yeah, this is definitely a good skill to have, coding and developing these websites and apps. And if you can keep up with the technology, you can always learn new skills. So yeah, that's a good one, I think, and very worth a lot of money there, and yeah, just a great skill. So thank you so much for asking. All right, so we've gone through all 15 questions now. Thank you so much for those of you who have actually stuck here towards the end. And you know, I would actually love to like elaborate a lot on these questions. And you know, some of the answers that I've answered are like not complete answers, because you know, this video thing takes a while to do, and also it's not like you're going to be sitting here for like a whole hour listening to me speak. And those of you that would do that, I do appreciate it. But you know, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I want to try and provide the most concise answers that I could possibly provide for you. And you know, we could always elaborate a little bit more. If you want to like actually discuss with me about some of these questions and the answers that I've given, then actually I'm open for a DM anytime, and I will do my best to answer you. And you know, we've got this online course coming up in April, and I'm really excited to release that, and I will be giving you more information about it as the time comes closer. So if you really need help with your reading retention and actually following through with what you read, then this course will be great for you. So DM me if you have any questions about it. And if you don't right now, maybe you will later. And of course, I will be posting about the online course, other than the book reviews and the reading tips that I normally give, and the stories and the quotes and everything that I do on this page. So just stay tuned and make sure that you're following this account. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, because, well, you know, reading is very fundamental. And if you can improve your reading skills and actually follow through with what you read and what's really implementable in your life, then you're going to come up ahead of almost anybody who does not read. So yeah, definitely subscribe and follow wherever you're watching this, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much, everyone. Keep on reading. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like these. Also follow my other social media accounts such as Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for more valuable content. Thank you for watching again, and I will see you guys next time.